Hi all, Kristin from A Strange Mood podcast here to ask, is Fae Farm worth it? The TLDR? Yes. Let's talk about why. Fae Farm is a new fairy-themed cozy simulation farming game, also known as one of those Stardew-alikes all the kids are talking about these days. While people have made a lot of unfavorable comparisons to Stardew Valley, it deserves to be considered as its own game with its own strengths and weaknesses, and not, as we tend to do, as a derivative of a genre that's extremely popular right now. The game was released by Phoenix Labs on PC and Switch in September 2023, just a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording. I have about 20 hours in the game and have just started winter of my first year. The game was apparently extremely hyped. I heard about it early in the year from the Besties podcast, and I even pre-ordered the premium version on Steam. With a price tag of $40 on Steam and $60 on the Switch, adorable 3D graphics, and a charming soundtrack, it appears to offer AAA features with small studio charms. Right now, the game sits at 79% over more than 900 Steam reviews. It's gotten a lot of criticism for a lot of reasons, and I want to show a little bit about why I actually love this game. Let's get into some gameplay. For this video, I was playing on PC with an Xbox controller, but I've spent most of my game time on Steam Deck, where the game is fully optimized and runs great. The core of the gameplay is, of course, farming. You have 3 base vegetables, turnips, cauliflower, and beans, that grow in all 4 seasons, with the later ability to add magic swap fertilizer to them, which converts them into seasonal or even Fae varieties of the root and vegetable base. You can sell them, eat them for energy, or prepare and then cook them into meals that will give you even more energy, as well as productivity boosts that let you mine and gather more, and skill boosts that help you catch wilier critters. You also raise a number of whimsical creatures. Chickoos, cottontails, and woolly horns are my current livestock, producing eggs, cotton fiber, and wool fiber. Every day you have to pet, brush, and shear the creatures to develop a relationship with them and increase your productivity from them. While there is the ability to breed them for additional colors, I haven't even scratched the surface of the animal handling job quests. Some of the only bugs I've seen have come from the animal handling component. You can see here that I got a pet option stuck on my screen and couldn't clear it until I went back to the title menu. I also got the pervasive animals not producing bug, which can be cleared by starving your animals for a day, which may be a little questionable morally, but hey, this farmer needs her wool. The next day, my little woolly horns were shearable again. Farming overlaps with gardening and flower breeding or hybridizing as you do in Animal Crossing. As you can see, while I have sunflowers, my garden is a little bit of a mess, and I haven't done much with that element of the game quite yet. Later on, you can use your fancy hybrid flowers to unlock different color palettes and even wings for your little character. One fortunate feature is that it's very easy to move all items in the game around, including growing beds, crops, and trees. So when you're breeding flowers, you don't have to worry too much about making placement mistakes. Another staple of the genre is, of course, gathering, which extends well beyond clearing your farm for basic materials like lumber and stone, into collecting seasonal berries, greens, nuts, mushrooms, and tea leaves, all of which can be cooked and brewed into drinks that will warm or cool you, depending on the weather. Most of my video capture was during the summer season, and you can see when my poor little character gets overheated and has to drink some cooling iced tea to continue working on the farm. While fishing has never been my favorite element in cozy games, I actually really like the minigame presented in Fae Farm, as it follows a tension release process a lot like actual fishing, but without the worms or pervasive smell of lake. You can see the line turning red as it's about to break and then white again as I release the tension. Bug and toad catching is fairly easy in the human realm, but gets tricky if you don't level up and upgrade your tools when you enter the Fae realm. I took to eating stat-boosting food before trying to gather the insects I needed for a potion. One of my favorite elements in the game is little conservatories, where you place caught critters in order to harvest their leavings, like frog sweat and flutter dust. It's definitely not bug poop. Nope, definitely not. Now, with all these critter bits and chopped up fish, we get into the game's extensive crafting tree. As you make your way around Azoria, you can collect scattered scrolls that give you recipes for decor, paths, and even meals. I can't actually remember about the meal thing, so apologies if I'm wrong about that. While I haven't decorated my farm very much yet, as you can see, it's kind of messy, the game does teach you to add cozy, inspiring, and energizing furnishings to your home, which directly influence the size of your mana and energy bars. You can also refresh your health by standing in your home, which is pretty cool. I only just upgraded my house and haven't done much with it yet, but some of the Fae furnishings have an aesthetic that I love, so I'm really looking forward to that element of endgame, whatever endgame means in a game like this. There actually is a story in this game, but I'm not going to get into that at all. It's questionable how deep it is, but I'm enjoying it, and your mileage may vary. However, the mines in combat have a big part to play in that story. Region and quest unlocks actually open up with every mine you clear, so you cannot simply ignore them. Which normally I would hate, but whether it's the charm of the combat or the atmosphere of these dungeons, I really enjoy it. The creatures you fight are very cute, and they have actual abilities that require effort in order to not get hit. You can see me get bonked a few times and losing health as it happens. The upside is that potions begin to factor in heavily in the second dungeon of the game. You'll need Fair Breath potions in order to survive the miasma. That's actually a feature a lot of people hate, but it's a fun challenge. And you can add in potions to make you move faster or become invisible and avoid combat altogether. The mines are where the confluence of all the game's abilities really begin to shine. Food can boost productivity, and you've used your crafting skills to create potions that make you more effective. The second mine also features some jump puzzles that aren't always easy. Luckily, if you yeet yourself into the void, you are ported back to the beginning of that level, which also makes for an easy escape plan, even if it kills you a little bit. Just a little bit, though. And finally, it's time to talk about what might be the weakest element of the game: the NPCs. There are 6 romanceable NPCs, and some number of NPCs you can be friends with. But honestly, the friendship elements of these games are what I care about the least. So the fact that they're all extremely shallow and repetitive means very little to me. Early in the game, I romanced Jack the Lumberjack. Wait, I just caught that. He really likes trees. He was fine, but for the purposes of this video, it was research, damn it. I dated and married Namashal, the snooty, silver-haired elf. It's possible I have a type. Anyway, we went on some dates, I gave him some presents, and eventually we got married at Town Hall. After our wedding, he reverted back to his standard dialogue. I couldn't give him any gifts, and my former flame Jack became a past love. On the upside, Namashal now hangs out at my farm in the evenings and no longer demands gifts, so I guess that's a plus. How romantic. Friendship works essentially the same way as early romance, and by talking to the NPC every day and giving them periodic gifts, they begin to like you more and more. And who doesn't like to receive random gifts? These games have taught me that you can definitely buy love. So that, in a nutshell, is the basic gameplay. I've been seeing a lot of negative reviews and "is this game worth it?" posts in a variety of places, and I wanted to put some positive press out there that maybe demonstrates the game's flaws while also showing its basic charm. It won't be for everyone, and at the price they're charging, it's hard to recommend without knowing a person's priorities in the game. If whimsy, crafting, combat, and fairies appeal to you, this is definitely a game you should check out. If, however, you want deep stories in your characters or a reason for which you are farming and selling crops, well, there are certainly a bunch of games out there that might scratch that itch. Thanks for watching today, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast, A Strange Mood, if you like Dwarf Fortress anyway.